After you break up and you're wah, crying in your soup, okay? People, not all of them, but there are going to be people that say things to you that piss you off, okay? They're gonna give you their takes, their angles. They're gonna tell you what they think they saw. They're gonna tell you what she said, what the friend said. You're gonna hear all of that. And in your anger or in your hurt, you're going to want to bash them upside the head with a baseball bat. And you're not going to take in anything that they're saying. That's a bad idea. So I just finished recording a requested video about how to get over your first love and your first relationship. And at the end of the video, I got to the point where we had already gotten and moved past the scar. And now we have to look for a new relationship. But how do we avoid making all of the mistakes that we just made in the previous relationship that caused us to have the broken heart? This is where it gets tough. And another video that I'm going to recommend is one that came out yesterday, and that was on how to set boundaries early on in the relationship, because it's especially important now. You've lost your first love. She gone. Oh, I. You pay the devil to replace her. She's gone. You've lost her. And if you're a guy, there's two roads. There's two roads here, okay? You either blaming her or blaming yourself, all right? And I got news for you. Either way, you're wrong. Either way, you're wrong. 99% of us, when we get into that next relationship, what we find out is all that stuff we thought that this is wrong because of that, and she did this, and all of it, like 99% of it, you usually realize, either I'm the problem or I didn't see where she was the problem. You either are going to be blaming her too much or yourself too much. And that is a very universal truth. Most of the time, you get into that next relationship and you are going to learn a lot more about yourself than you ever have. Now, once you're getting into that relationship, how do you avoid the mistakes? Well, the first step is setting boundaries, okay? And so I'll link to that video here in terms of a tip on how to set boundaries early on in a relationship. The biggest thing that you can do, and this gets easier with age, okay? Not going to lie, it does get easier with age and experience, because by the time you're my age, you realize, yeah, I was a dumbass at 21 or 31 or 32 or whatever. You generally speaking, if you've been in different relationships, you will inevitably look back 5 and 10 years and be like, yeah, that was probably my fault. That's my bad. I did that. Okay. I'm not saying it's never her fault, but if you get out of a relationship and you're blaming her, it was more than likely your fault more than anything else. But how, as men, do we do this? How do we say, okay, I lost her, right? I'm giving 30% of the blame to her, but I'm going to take 70% of the blame onto myself. Now, how do we, first of all, get to the part where we're willing to own 70% of the blame? Well, this was a tip from the other video, but I'll reiterate it here. After you break up and you're wah, crying in your soup, okay? People, not all of them, but there are going to be people that say things to you that piss you off, okay? They're gonna give you their takes, their angles. They're gonna tell you what they think they saw. They're gonna tell you what she said, what the friend said. You're gonna hear all of that. And in your anger or in your hurt, you're going to want to bash them upside the head with a baseball bat. And you're not going to take in anything that they're saying. That's a bad idea. You don't have to take it in then. Don't try to take it in then. Okay? My suggestion, honestly and genuinely, if you have the ability to hear what they're saying, compartmentalize it upstairs in your brain without writing it down, do it. If you don't, get to the end of your day, all right? In that first month after the breakup, longer if you need it, no time limit, you get to the end of your day and you just write it down. Don't type it. Get the hell off the phone. Get the hell off the laptop. Write. like humans used to do, okay? Because otherwise you're gonna type 2 sentences and get a notification and you're gonna get distracted. So write, okay? Write down what you learned that day. What'd you learn that day? What'd you learn about yourself? Did you have any um light bulb moments where you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have said this. And include in that what you're writing, include what other people said to you, especially the stuff that pisses you off. Write it down. You don't have to expand upon it. You don't have to try to, Susie said this, but I think, no. Just what did Sue say? What did Jimmy say? What did this friend say? What did your dad say? What's your mom's? What are people saying to you about this breakup when you're calling them and crying to them, etc.? What are they saying? Write it down, especially the stuff that pisses you off. Okay? Now, however long later, all right, I've moved past that scar. The scar is there. It's there permanently, but I feel now I'm ready to present myself to another woman, okay? Now, before you're ready to do that, you need to go back into that book and you need to read what was written, all right? Generally speaking, half of the things that are written are still going to piss you off. And then the other half, you're going to look at them. You're going to kind of look at them. Shit, that might have been right. That one might have been right. Now, maybe 50% of it won't be, right. If even 10% of it is right, you're going to learn a lot. And probably more like 25% of it is going to be right. That is the first step before you go on to present yourself to a new woman. Because if you don't figure out what fault was yours in the previous relationship, you are going to repeat it again. Because you're going to go under the assumption that whatever A, B, C behavior that you did, okay, especially if somebody else mentioned it to you, it pissed you off, and you don't come to terms with the fact that they might have been right. If you don't, you might actually purposefully display that behavior because you're so sure that they were wrong. You follow what I'm saying? So if if your mom says, well, maybe you shouldn't have blah, 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 and it really pissed you off, you meet the new girl, you might do that same thing on purpose just because it makes you so mad that your mom called you out for doing something. And there's no way, that wasn't my fault. Well, likely that it probably was. So having the ability to hear what other people are saying and accept blame, that comes with age. That comes with age, experience, and the experience of screwing it up. Okay, the experience of screwing it up. Because I guarantee you, 100% guarantee, you lose your love, you have the breakup, the whole thing. If you do not take enough time and go back and sort through what was her crap and what was yours, you are going to repeat those mistakes, except now it's going to be worse. Okay? Because remember, the woman that you made those mistakes with before kind of only tolerated them, likely because she didn't start to display that behavior until after she was already in love with you. All right? If it was an equal 50-50 relationship and you guys were really genuinely in love and she ended it, well, you weren't perfect. You did something, right? So if you do not go back and acknowledge and rectify those things, it's going to be that much worse the second time around, okay? And then that's when self-confidence issues are going to start coming in, because you're going to start thinking, what's wrong with me, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what might be wrong with you is you have an inability to address and acknowledge your own behavior. Now, once you've gone back and you've taken your sheet of paper and you've started to recognize, okay, maybe I could have done this better, maybe I could have done these things better. That's when it's time to reconnect with, if you can, with the people that said those things. So if it's your mom, your best friend, whoever it was, right? They know it pissed you off when they said it, especially if it's an elder, if it's an older brother, if it's somebody who has more experience. They're not telling it to you in that moment to get you aggravated and pissed off. what they're hoping is that eventually with time, you'll recognize that they were correct. And then you call them and be like, hey, so remember that thing that you said that I did, etc. And mom will say, yeah, I was hoping you'd talk to me about this. I said, well, what would you have suggested that I do? Or when did you realize I was doing it? Or why do you think I was doing it? And that, my friends, is the biggest key, because if somebody is giving you this post-relationship advice about things that they think you did, they're not doing it to stick their finger in your eyes. They're doing it because they want you to have success in the next relationship. And it also means that they've been watching and they've been viewing and they've been seeing what's been going on. So if you would like an objective opinion as to why you might have displayed that behavior, they might actually have a better idea than any therapist or coach or anything like that. Don't rely on your own intuition. Well, I wouldn't say don't rely on your own intuition. But if you know why you did something, at that point, it's a pattern, and that's something you should be able to fix. But if it's behavior that you look back and, man, I don't know why I did that. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. Well, call the person that pointed it out to you, and I bet you that they have a pretty pinpoint idea about why you were displaying that behavior. So you've moved on, you've moved past the scar. Now you've looked at your own behavior. Now you've taken advice from your own behavior. And once you feel like you have parsed through that book enough to where, okay, there were 8 things collectively that this person said this, there were 8 things that they said I was doing wrong. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. However, out of the 8 things, if you even find the reason and fix one of those 8 things, you are ready to move on to the next relationship, because nobody ever fixes everything completely 100%. But the fact that you now had the ability to accept the fault and fix it, you're ready. Okay? You don't have to wait till you get everything fixed. The fact that you're able now to look at your own behavior objectively and be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and stop yourself in advance. You're going to keep learning. You're going to have bumps and bruises, right? Not everybody's going to be a perfect energetic match. And by the time you get to whatever age, right, even if you're just 23, 24 years old, you've got your scar. She has her scar. You've already had relationships and trauma and things like that. And just the idea that you will, and you have to acknowledge this. Now, not right off the bat when you're meeting somebody new. You don't tell them, second date, it's not the time to be like, well, I kind of screwed up my last relationship, but I really, I did a lot of self-work. Second date might be a little bit early for that. Definitely not first date. You kind of want to get to, first date, there's no investment. Second date, third date. If you get to the third date, she already likes you enough to give you the third date. That's when you can start talking about, hey, these are the things that I'm working on. These are the things that I had done in the past. This is my solution to that problem. These are the things that I'm working on. And she will give you a little bit of leeway in whatever area it is that you're working on. Now, this is not to say that it's never the woman's fault or that the woman doesn't have any work to do. But that's not your job. That's not your responsibility. Okay? All you can do is continue to work on yourself so that when you're presenting yourself to a prospective relationship, you are the best possible version of yourself that you can be. It's just like going to the gym, man. Okay? All right? Men, we have a problem, or we have trouble separating the physical from the emotional. So if your best friend tells you, man, you're getting love handles, right? You're not gonna get all butthurt. You'd be like, kiss my ass, and you're gonna start working out harder at the gym, right? But if that same guy tells you, man, you kind of talk to her like crap, man, you kind of talk down to her, it's likely that you're gonna get angry and aggravated and agitated at him in that moment. Okay, the key to the growth is to be able to log those comments away And at some point, when your mind is clear, to be able to pull them back out, recognize them, admit them, acknowledge them, fix them. And then the next time you have a new relationship, you'll be all that much more prepared.